Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Eardley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name is Catherine Eardley. I'm so excited that you're here listening with me once again. I'm your host as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club. The Resilient Retail Club is my membership group for creative product businesses, and you can find out more at resilientretail.com. Today's episode is all about a topic which at first glance might seem a little bit dry, but I hope that by the end of this episode, you'll have been able to see how sales planning or creating sales plans for your business is not just a useful thing to do, but actually it can be really transformative. There's a quote that is apparently attributed to Dwight Eisenhower, who says, "Plans are worthless, but planning is everything." As soon as I heard that quote, I just was like, yes, this is exactly what I'm trying to say. When you are talking about setting a sales plan for your product-based business, we're not all about trying to work out exactly how much money you're going to take, but we're about going through the process of setting these plans so that you have got targets to aim for, as well as going through the motions of working out where you actually want to drive your business from, which areas you want to drive your business from, I should say, and actually what are you trying to achieve? And all of those big questions are ones that you can kind of bump along and not really be paying that much attention to if you don't actually take the time to set your plans. So, what is my top tip for growing your sales in your product business? Well, given the title of the episode, you've probably grasped that it is going to be creating a robust sales plan. A sales plan alongside some really concrete strategies to achieve that plan can drive success in your business like absolutely nothing else. It allows you the ability to clearly see your goals, work out how you want to achieve them, as well as correctly plan your stock and manage your cash flow. There are lots and lots of different ways for you to grow your sales, lots of different tactics that you can follow, lots of different strategies. But without a clear plan or getting clear about where you actually want to take the business in terms of a really concrete number, it's actually a lot harder for you to go ahead and hit that goal. A great story that I heard, I'm going to try and remember where I heard it from, but it's a really great story, which is all about setting goals and setting targets and shows the power of it, was that there was somebody who was a salesperson and they had been told by their mentor or the person that they were working with for their training that they should, on average, be closing 80% of the people who come to watch a talk. So this particular salesperson, the way that they worked was they gave a talk to people, and then at the end of it, they had a sales pitch, and then they would work to close the sale after that. So this person was working towards the idea of there being 80% of the people who should sign up at the end. So they went and they ran their talks. They did them over and over again. They learned what resonated, what didn't resonate. They tweaked their messaging. They tried different follow-up strategies and all the rest of it. And they got to about 70%, 65, they got to the point where reliably 65 to 70% of the people who came to this talk would buy from them. And so they met their mentor again and they said to them, okay, I'd love to get your input on a problem that I'm having. You told me I should be closing about 80% of the rooms of people who are coming to hear me talk, but I'm actually closing 65 to 70. So what do you think? What's the difference? And the person just looked at them in complete astonishment and said, I actually said 18%. So it was 18% on average. So what happened was, because this person had set themselves a goal and they were working towards it steadily and consistently, they pushed themselves to the point where they were actually doing incredibly well. And I really think that that's the key with the sales planning. That's why it's such a powerful process for you in your business. There's lots of different reasons for you to come up with a plan, but motivationally speaking is a big one. To set yourself a target that is both challenging but not impossible, then you have got something to work towards every single day. It's the reason that most retail businesses are very target driven. If you've ever worked in a big corporate retail, then you know that's the case, that you are given daily targets, sometimes even hourly targets, especially if you're on the shop floor. You'll know exactly how much money you need to be taking in that day, that hour, that week in order to hit your overall goal. There's constant feedback, constant reporting on those targets so that people can understand where they are and how they're doing. And the reason they do that is because as humans, we work really, really well with very tangible goals that we're trying to hit. So if you're running your business and you are just saying, well, okay, I just want to sell as much as I can, it's definitely not the same thing in terms of having a target that you are working towards. So do you know what you're working towards right now? That would be my question for you. I'd love to know. Why not hop over to Instagram, shoot me a DM and tell me, do you have a sales plan for your business? And if you don't know what your target is, then think about this. If you were trying to shoot an arrow at a real target, how would you be able to hit it if you couldn't see it? So many businesses, though, that are trying to grow their sales do not have a clear target to aim for. So it's the same problem. They've desired to sell more, but not a clear idea of what more means. Sales planning, the process, is the perfect opportunity for you to get clear on what your plan for your business needs to be. And then you can start thinking about the tools that you need to be able to hit your target. I've had a conversation so many times with different business owners, and I always ask them, do you have a sales plan for your business? And then if they don't have a sales plan for their business, then I usually will ask them why. And I think it's worth touching on a few of the key reasons that people give for not having a sales plan right now, because you might be sitting here thinking exactly the same thing. Number one would be that they just don't have time or they don't really see the importance. Well, hopefully what I've said at the beginning will give you an idea of why it's so important. If you take the time to sit down and really look at the sales plan for your business, it is, as I said at the very beginning, it's not about the plan. Plans are useless, but planning is priceless. So it's really about you sitting down and being realistic about what you can achieve, about where you want to get those sales from, about where your business is heading right now, and putting that all together to create a plan. It then gives you that clear accountability, that clear direction, and that clear goal for you to aim towards. The other reason that people give for not setting a target is that they say, well, I just feel like setting a target is tempting fate. If I say I want to take £1,000 in my business this month, but I end up taking £800, then I feel like I'm just going to end up being really demotivated, or if anything, I feel like if I write it down, then it's just never going to happen because I'm tempting fate. So I don't know if that resonates with anyone who's listening to the podcast, but that's definitely something that's come up time and time again. And so I guess what I would do is I would take you back to the idea of it's not always about the plan. It's not about the fact that you have to get the exact number right. It's more about that you do the process, you sit down and you actually commit to a number. I totally understand what you're saying about tempting fate, but I think we can all agree that that is at best a superstition and at worst actually counterproductive, because realistically, if you think about it, you're much more likely to hit the target once you've set it than if you don't even have an idea of what you want your target to be. The key thing here as well is that you don't want to demotivate yourself. There's no point you saying, right, I'm taking, £500 a month now, and I want to be taking £25,000 a month by January. That's going to be a huge leap. You do have to do it incrementally. You do have to think about incremental growth. You've got to believe that you can take £1,000 a month in your business before you're going to be able to believe that you can take £2,000. You've got to believe that you can take £5,000 before you can believe you can take £10,000, all of those things. So you don't want the jump to be too big. You don't want to set yourself a goal which is so totally far out of reach that it is going to end up demotivating you. Unless you know that you are putting money behind ads, for example, or you have got a clear outline for how you're going to hit that goal. And we'll come on to that a little bit later. So if you're worried about tempting fate, start with a goal that you think is reasonable, that is realistic, but maybe slightly higher than your current sales, for example, just so that you've got something to really aim towards. Because what you want to do is you want to eventually get into the mindset so almost every single day you're asking yourself, what do I need to do to hit my sales goal? What levers can I pull? What's worked well? What can I do more of? And therefore, what am I going to aim for in order to hit that goal? So you want to get clear as much as possible on what that number is, but you want it to be a comfortable stretch, but not something that is going to make you feel completely demotivated. That would be one way of looking at it. And then the third reason that people tell me that they don't set sales targets is because they say, I don't know. I've literally no idea where to start. And I think that in that case, I understand that if you've not been trained in forecasting, then you may be wondering, well, how do I create a plan? I've got a workshop for club members who are listening to the podcast. I've got a workshop on how to set your sales goals, especially when you've got uncertainty. And the Grow Your Profits course, for example, goes into quite a lot of detail about sales planning. So if you're stuck and you're a club member, then go take a look at those courses. But otherwise, just as a general rule, if you don't know where to start, just start somewhere. Take a look at how much you took last month and ask yourself, next month, do I want to take more than that or less? Or realistically, do I think I'll take less because last month was really unusual? Look at your average weekly sales. Look at how your business has been trading. Has it been trading up during lockdown, for example? It's just a way that you can start. You're much better off taking 5 minutes and thinking, right, I took £4,000 in July, and I took £6,000 in August. I took £7,000 in September. I really would like to I would feel good if I took £8,000 in October and £10,000 in November, right? It doesn't have to be any more considered than that. And believe me, I have sat and planned an entire high street chain, over £100 million retail business, literally by sitting there and saying, what do we think we're going to take this month? Breaking it down by departments. Okay, I think that looks reasonable, because we just needed a place to start. We needed goals that we could then break down and send out to stores, and that they could then break down and send out for their team. We needed to set budgets for people to purchase against. We needed to give it to the finance team for them to understand the cash flow for the business. So we needed to start somewhere. So we just started with what looked sensible. And that's what I'm saying when I say plans are worthless, but planning is priceless. Because even you just sitting there and thinking to yourself, right, okay, how did that last month go? Okay, that was really good. Why do I think it was good? Okay, well, I had, I did that virtual event. That was really good. What can I do more of that to help me push my sales forward? You're now shifting your thinking from it being completely impulsive or reactive to start being more proactive. And that's really going to be how you eventually move your business to the next level and how you grow more, because you're going to start moving it from being a reaction to what's going on to start being something that you're planning out and planning through carefully. One of the most important things as well about setting a sales goal, regardless of, as I said, some of the key things I've talked previously about, having a stock goal, being able to forecast the amount of stock you need, being able to look at your cash flow, all of these things are absolutely critical to your business. So the sales plan is the first part of all of that process. It's the first building block for so many different elements of running your business effectively. But another reason that it's just fantastic to have yourself a sales goal is because you need to know when to celebrate. I talk to people who've done incredible sales, who've had an amazing month, who've been trading 400% up on the year. But then when I ask them how they're feeling or how they felt about it, they'll be like, oh, yeah, well, I don't know, it could have been better. Well, it could always be better, right? Whatever you sell, you could always have sold more. Whatever your revenue is, you could always have made more money. But if you set your targets, then you have something that you can bench yourself against. We also have a tendency as business owners that the more successful we are, the more success we want. So as soon as we start hitting certain numbers in our business, when you first start out, you probably think to yourself, oh, I would just be so happy if I was selling £100 a week. £100 a week would be amazing. You get to the point where you're selling £100 a week. All of a sudden you think, well, that person over there is taking £1,000 a week. Wow, wouldn't it be amazing if I got to £1,000 a week? You get to £1,000 a week. And then you start thinking, well, do you know what, really? I feel like this should be by now a 6-figure business. You get the point. Anyway, the more money you take, the more or the higher expectations that you will have on yourself. By setting yourself a goal, you can measure yourself against what you wanted at one point in time to achieve for your business. And you can say quite clearly, did I achieve this, yes or no? And if you did achieve it, then you need to celebrate it. If you don't have a sales plan, you can never pop that champagne cork. So make sure, or whatever it is that you like to drink, just make sure you set yourself that goal. Make sure that you set those targets so that you can celebrate when the time comes. It's so important because otherwise it just becomes a treadmill. You're just constantly pushing for the next big thing. You're probably getting sucked into comparisonitis with what other people are doing, and you're not focusing on what your goals were for your business and whether or not you've achieved them. Now, it's not to say that you can't amend those goals. So, for example, if you said, right, I want to be selling £100 a week, and then you set yourself a year's target to be selling £100 a week, and then partway through you realize, well, actually, I'm selling 300, 400, then that goal is no longer a challenge. So then you can reforecast, reset yourself a goal, again, that is a bit of a stretch, is going to challenge you, but it isn't going to make you feel demotivated. I think the key thing here is, as I said before, is keep it simple. It doesn't have to be hugely complicated. I would much rather see you have a simple goal that you can write down on a post-it note and stick onto your monitor than to have a deeply elaborate spreadsheet. Now, I'm also a fan of deeply elaborate spreadsheets, but they're not necessary if you just need to create a goal. If you don't have a sales target at all, if you've never run your business using one, then start really small and simple. Just note down a cash number that you want to aim for, and then start thinking about how you're going to hit that. And that's probably the biggest, most important part of sales planning, because it's not magic. It sounds obvious, but believe me, I have been in big multi-million pound businesses where the top line has come down, that we had to be 5% up on the year, and we had to put numbers against it that looked like we were going to make it happen. But there was always really obvious to us when we felt like the numbers were a stretch and when we actually felt like we had the possibility to hit those numbers. So sales planning, it's not a magical process. You don't put the numbers down and then boom, that's it. That's what your sales are. But what it is encouraging you to think about, as I said, is really how are you going to hit them? So we've touched on that a bit earlier, but this is about moving yourself from being reactive to being proactive, strategic, and start thinking about, okay, if I want to hit these goals, what do I have to do for me to get there? It may be that you already have an idea. So as I said before, if you have had really low sales, but then you've been investing heavily in paid advertising and you can see that your sales are growing, you may want to set yourself a sales target, which is a lot higher than how you've currently been trading, because you can see that you have got something that is going to drive those sales. You can see how much money you're planning on spending on ads, for example, to start driving those sales. Similarly, you might know that you have a big piece of PR coming up, and the last time that you had PR this good, then you had a really big sales boost. Or maybe you've seen your traffic steadily increasing and now you can see that you've got twice as many Instagram followers as you used to. So you're expecting to see your sales grow alongside that. If you've got very limited time, write down your sales target on a piece of paper, stick it on your monitor. If you have got more time or you want to spend a bit more time thinking about it, really start asking yourself, is where are my sales coming from? Where do I think they're going to come from in the future? What do I think is going to drive my sales forward? And can you start putting a cash number against that? It doesn't have to be, again, this is not about you creating the exact perfect plan. You're not going to know the exact split of where your sales are coming from or how to work out exactly what sales channel is going to start driving sales for you, but you can have a go. And this is all a start of the process where you start getting more interested, more curious about the inner workings of your sales and understanding how you can drive them moving forward. So having a sales plan that is mapped out ideally by week. By month is great, just gives you a target that you can work towards, but by week, a sales plan is the closest thing that you will have in your business to a crystal ball. As I said, it is step one in a process of things like stock planning or cash flow management that you really can't get to until you have yourself a sales plan. But once you have that sales plan, as I said, ideally mapped out week by week, then you can start seeing problems way in advance. For example, if you exceed your sales plan in January, you might run out of stock in March. A well mapped out sales plan and a stock plan that goes along with it will highlight this kind of thing to you while you still have time to do something about it. And on the flip side, it can show you where your cash flow is going to struggle if sales don't meet your expectations. But again, it can show this to you weeks in advance. So the point of the sales plan is not to get it right, it's to create a framework that gives you lots of insight into where your business is going and any actions you need to keep it on track. I hope I've convinced you the importance of a sales plan. As I said, club members, we do have a course called Grow Your Profits that you can dive into. It's in the course portal, and we go through everything to do with creating a sales plan and a stock plan and a cash flow plan that goes along with it. But for everybody else who's listening, then just shoot me a DM on Instagram. Tell me, do you plan your sales for your business? What is stopping you? If you're worried about tempting fate, what can you do to get over that fear? And just set yourself a goal. Just write something down, get it out there, and make sure that when you hit those sales goals, you celebrate, because that has got to be the purpose of it as well. It's got to be motivational. It's got to encourage you to think strategically. It's got to allow you to create templates and tools that can help you run your business more effectively. But again, it's got to also be that massive pat on the back so that you know when to celebrate a job well done. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Why not follow me on Instagram at Future Retail UK, or if you are listening to this a little bit later into October, I may have already rebranded to Resilient Retail Club over on Instagram. So if you can't find Future Retail UK, look for Resilient Retail Club. Tag me where you are listening in. I absolutely love to see people, especially on the catch up. Please also don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Ratings and reviews are so helpful to me to spread the word. And don't forget to subscribe as well, because that will mean that you are the first to hear about new episodes as they are released. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretail.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, with a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretail.com.